Welcome everybody to the 2018 pre-draft odds video for the Spades Fantasy Baseball League. I hope everyone gets to enjoy it. We're going to modify it a little bit. We're going to shorten it up. We're going to do a little bit less script work to it in production, and hopefully it works to your benefit. And before we go any further, let me once again introduce my very charismatic co-host, Salvatore Cuculo. Welcome, Sal.
Welcome.
Hi, Sal. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, doing well.
How you been?
Doing well. I've been very good.
Good.
Long off season, but we're here now, and I'm very excited to do another show and another full year of Spades.
How excited
and fantasy
are you, Sal,
baseball? You know,
this year. Because I don't sense the excitement.
I gotta
Not
say,
from you, from the league in general, but lately it's starting to heat up a little bit.
it's getting more. You see more action on the polls. You see a little more action on the boards. You do see. So I was very excited, but it's like everything else. Until the days are in single digits away, you don't get that extra excitement. But I can't wait.
I think the silence kind of maybe tells me that people are more serious. I don't know. Because, usually there's a little more activity. You hear from more people. But I think deep down, people are lying in the background and wanting it. And when they're wanting it, that means they're preparing. So I hope I'm wrong, because I did talk to you about this a couple weeks ago. I'm a little concerned. But let's see what happens. I think the quietness is more of a negative. But, I see it heating up. So anyway, we want to begin the video slightly different, and we asked a few teams. We asked teams to give us a quote.
Right.
Now, we did this, or I did this, because I wanted to get a feel of where people's mindset might be. It also gives us things to inject conversation for the video. And it's not easy to produce these things. I put a lot of work into it, and I'm kind of getting a little bit of, I don't want to say get away from it, but it does take a lot, and I want to shorten it. And you don't even know what used to go behind the production of these videos. So we're going to start off with some of the quotes people left, and then we'll get the odds, and we'll discuss some things. So anyway, the first quote that I'm going to bring up is from Joe Bean. Joe Bean, the Bombers.
Did well again this year. I think he finished fourth.
He finished fourth, and did he go second back-to-back before that?
He was second last year, I think, and then fourth.
Or third. He's been on a streak where he's in the money. He gets the discount this year, by the way, $400. And everybody who knows my brother with money, he's going to love the discount. So the Bombers, Joe Bean said this, and I quote. This is a Joe Bean quote, not a Richie Bean quote. "It is not the preparation that matters most. Instead, it's the weak competition that you are dealing with." He said teams like 24 Home Run and the Bean team have let the league down.
Wow.
What does this quote mean?
See, I don't know how to judge that quote. I can't take that as a serious quote. I can only think that he's trolling a couple teams, mainly 24 Home Run with the recent history that they've had. For him to even mention weak competition and them in the same breath, it just makes no sense. I would hope to think that he's just trolling us and joking around when he makes statements like that.
This is what I think about the quote. What I think about the quote is when he says like teams like 24 Home Run and the Bean team are letting the league down. I just think he said those two names, but he's referring to all the teams that prepare. He's taking a jab at all of them that come into that draft or come into the draft thinking that they're the shit and they're ready and no one's preparation is overrated. I don't know. That's what I think. That he says the Bean team in 24 Home Run because they're probably the most recognizable teams in the league. And when you bring those two teams up, it makes a statement. My problem with this is that that Joe Bean prepares very little. I don't know what system he has. Like, how can we explain his money finishes lately? What is he doing? Does he have a secret, or is the game getting simplified?
Well, it goes twofold. The game, it's not getting simpler, but what it is getting is information is out there a little bit more easily. So if you notice, he has been having a little bit better drafts.
Yes.
Nothing crazy, but he sticks with those drafts. And then if you notice, during the year, he does nothing with the drafts. So there have been times that year he finished second, he could have finished first. Last year he never actually went for it. So he's taken that. We have accessible information that's easier for people that don't prepare like him, and it makes it almost to their advantage.
Yes.
To the people that do prepare. But I'll tell you one thing: the people that do prepare will always have the advantage because now you're a step ahead, and they make the moves appropriately and start to plan ahead.
I think that when someone prepares, and if their season starts off well and they're on point, they are going to most likely have a better year because the preparation also means that they're probably better managers. My thing with Joe Bean is he's one of the guys. I've been a little stern this year coming to the year with some important issues, and Joe Bean is a culprit. He's one of the teams that'll ask someone, "Can you cross these plays?" He'll give a list to the guy. Don't sit there, Joe Bean. He'll give you a list and say, "Can you cross the names off of the guys picked up?" I mean, tell me about it. How, if you were sitting there, Joe Bean, and he asked you to do that, what would you say to him?
Well, I'll tell you, I'd probably help him out because that's the kind of guy I am. But I got to tell you, you can't say in one breath the guys that prepare more
Yes.
are at a disadvantage, and then in this next breath, you're asking for help at a draft. So you gotta play the odds.
And I've had owners complain about him and other teams. So this is my point. No one is helping anybody. The clock is the clock. Live and die by the penalty. Cross your own names off. Okay? Cross your own names off.
Fair rule.
Joe Bean. Because this is a competition and it's getting really serious. So
Maybe we go to Stark if you want to.
well, let's just give the odds. Let me give the odds for Joe Bean. I'm going to give Joe Bean 75-1.
That's actually better odds than you've been
Yes,
given him
because we
recently.
do have to somewhat expect his finishes the last few years.
Okay.
Okay.
Take that into account. I can't argue with it.
But what he needs to do to get over the hump is most likely be a little more engaging throughout the season.
Engaging throughout the season, more weekly management, better pickups, and better team management during the year.
Yeah, definitely. The next team or the owner we're going to talk about, and again, if we go a little bit out all over the place, just mind us, is going to be Richie Stark. We're going to talk about Richie Stark because he didn't give us a quote, okay? So, like I said, some teams gave us quotes. So the Richie Stark came in last place last year, okay? And he did not give us a quote. So I have an issue with this. I have an issue with the fact that, I texted everybody to give us a quote. Now, this is, I didn't expect one from Richie, to be honest with you. Did you expect one from Richie?
I don't expect anything from Richie, and he's a little predictable.
Yes.
You know what he's going to eat. You know what he's going to drink.
He's going to get the same two dirty martinis.
Dirty martinis.
Is it dirty?
Tito's rocks.
Tito's. Oh yeah. He never. That's what he does. That's what he does. And he'll never have three. He'll have two.
He'll have two.
Yeah.
Well, he may have. He will have a third
if someone buys it for him,
or if the missus isn't around.
Oh yeah, he'll have
Clearly.
four if she's not around. Yeah. They let themselves go when the women aren't around in their lives.
Right.
Which tells me a little something about them. They're not really in control.
But one thing I will say is, I've been recently disappointed with Stark. A couple of years ago, I put him as a personal contender. I thought he was making some moves, and I clearly made a mistake, and he hasn't got better since. Could it be that he's with 24 home run all the time, and they're in the same office, and they're maybe 24 home run isn't helping them out a little bit because now they're competition a little bit.
They
more.
don't help each other out.
So maybe they need to ask for help if they're
No, but
if they're
Richie
around.
won't accept help because if you know Richie's a gambler, and gamblers don't listen to anybody because they feel it's their way. They have their way, and I only know this because I'm a gambler. And I know that from one gambler to the other, the worst thing a gambler wants to hear is someone else's advice. It's like a malokia. You know what I mean? But
Throw him in a bathroom.
could Richie go last place back to back?
If there's one person that could do it, I can definitely see him doing it. Especially with teams that have been competing lately. You have your Darryls. He's no longer a contender to finish in last.
Well, that's. Every dog gets lucky.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt after winning a championship.
Yeah.
Even Tony has had a couple good recent years.
These guys.
They're debacles, but we'll get into that. But the odds. This is what I got. The odds of him, Stark, finishing in last are clearly better than the odds of him finishing in first.
100%. I give him 400-1 odds. The problem with Richie is that he just doesn't do enough research. And let me let you in on a little bit of secret, because you know what? Let me tell you something. All you guys out there, I am like a James Bond. I'm like a spy. Okay, I get information that and I'll tease you guys a little bit and throw you a couple of bones, but I know 20 more times more information than I let you to believe. I even gave Sal some information the other day just to tease him a little bit, but I know more than that. Anyway, Anthony DeRue, Richie's work partner, texted me not too long ago saying, "Do you know any more snake draft leagues that we could get into?" I said, I'll ask around, but not really. He wasn't interested. Richie Stark was interested. And this is what the explanation was. Why am I going to do all this research to be in one league? What research does he do?
I don't know. After finishing in the last, and I love Richie, by the way, stand-up guy. I see him quite often.
I haven't seen him since I worked.
I just feel like he does need to put a little bit more preparation.
What did you say to me the other day? Insanity is what is that?
Insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and that's kind of how he does baseball. And he'll draft the same way. He won't change it up.
400-1. No shot. All right, Sal. 24 home run. The only Hall of Famers in the league: Anthony DeRue, Chris Percone.
Well, did they give you a quote?
They didn't initially, but let's get back. I'm gonna say their quote a little bit in later on. Not later on, but at the end of what we talk about.
Okay.
Does the 13th place finish of 2017? Is it troublesome? Does it stain them? Does it cloud their mind? What is it doing? How is it affecting them now coming into this draft? Or they just blow it off?
Well, I recently got a chance to hang out with Chris for a little while, and I see Anthony quite often. I will tell you that it's not going to affect them in any way. It's a blip on the radar as far as they're concerned, and you have to take them for what it's worth. So if they go into this season and prepare like they have every other draft, you're gonna. I'd expect to see more money place finishes than 13, 14, 15th place finishes. So I think that's something that they're probably not even losing sleep about. I'm sure they're pissed about it. Mm-hmm. Without a question, they were bothered by it last year, and they stopped.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, but you know what? When you win as much as they have, the embarrassment is a little bit off.
You came in last one time. So.
I came in last a couple of years ago.
Bad seasons happen, but you know what? I wish. For one time, I wish the league was a 13-team league and Richie Stark wasn't in it, because they would have finished in last. I think, actually, it is a sign and the beginning of what is now going to be a poor streak for them. I see them on like this 10-year streak of like no money finishes. I really do. They might have been. The dynasties come to an end, okay, and leagues get tougher, and we have a tough league. And for whatever it was, they had their run, they had their moment, and they have an impressive resume. But I really think it's the beginning of a poor streak and what comes with it.
Well, I'll tell you what they will do.
What will
coming up in this draft? They will look at the person they pick. They will look at it again, and then clearly state who they really want, and not make that mistake again.
Oh, that brings up another thing with another rule. I mean, these guys, they screw up. How can you screw up and say 3 names when you only need 2? So whenever someone makes a mistake, we have to make a rule, obviously. So, they really screwed up last year. They will deny it. They will say the clock, the rule, whatever. But one name at a time, or 2 names at a time. But whatever, depending on your pick. So they really acted up. The one thing I will say is their quote, and it's really an Anthony quote. He says, "Regardless, our 4 titles speak for themselves."
I mean, how could you argue with that? How could anybody argue with that? So,
unless you have more titles like myself, do they speak for themselves?
They do, but
they don't.
Let's talk about the Spades League.
And
it's the same league.
Okay.
Well, you're there in the Hall of Fame and you're not, so don't say it's the same league when you're treating it separately.
One thing I will say, and this is what I want to tell everybody, is I'm bringing Meanie Beanie back. Okay, is that Chris Pacone has really been coming up to me and calling me and texting me, and he wants to be my friend. He wants to get away from this seasonal frenemy-ship or this meanness that we have at Trade. And I told him, absolutely not. And what's so great about this is that over the Thanksgiving time, Chris Pacone got a serious hemorrhoid attack. Okay? And it required surgery. And he really couldn't poo for like 2 weeks without pain. And that makes me happy. Because I can tell he had to jump in the bathtub and do all this crazy stuff. And he says he never wishes it again on anybody. He'd rather be dead. But no, I hope he gets another attack and it happens the day before draft day.
Well, one quote Chris did give me was that he now no longer wishes death on his enemies.
Yeah, on players. He used to wish players
death. He used to wish real baseball players death. But now he doesn't because death is too easy. He's going to wish them hemorrhoids.
When it's all said and done, they're 20-1. They're a money contender, but I backed them off a little bit. Because like I said, 21's good odds, but I backed them off. They're usually a top 2-3 contender. I think you're going to see a struggle from these guys for about the next decade.
Well, my opinion is until they go on a losing streak a couple years in a row, they're still my favorites to win it. So
yeah, they can't be favorites. Anyway, let's go to Jared and Leo Tekiel. A team has no name.
Walder Frey and Reek.
Walder Frey and Reek. A lot of people don't notice about Jared. We go back and forth on the texting, private. Everybody, like I said, I have secrets. I'm a spy, and he's real aggressive in the texting. Okay, but in the draft room, he shuts down a little bit. I think he reminds you of Reek so much.
Oh, he's incredible.
You know what I'm saying? Like you could just whip him into shape, make him your puppy dog. You know what I mean? Until I see some strength from him, and that's what he portrays a weakness. A weakness, not in life, but a weakness in this parent ownership, father son.
Right.
He's the weaker of the two.
That's fair. And Reek's Ramsey Bolton.
Yes.
Is the third and fourth round.
Yes.
Clearly. So the third and fourth round is when they really start to get nervous, shake up. I mean, I have it on video.
Wait. Explain that to me, because usually the third and fourth round comes around and everybody's like, okay, the sweat's off, they're getting in the groove. What happens to them when that third, fourth round? What happens?
Well, this is what I see, and I have video to prove it.
I see it too, because I watch it.
So they'll set up in their spot. They'll get there nice and early. They're very confident. The draft starts, they pick their player, and they're getting into a groove. They pick their second player, and now all the names that they want start to come off, and they don't know, and it's only the third round. So where a normal drafter may start a little panic between 10, 11, 12th round, and then have to regroup, they start in the third round, and it's shocking. They get deep into the computer and the paperwork, and they're looking at each other.
The paperwork goes flying. They play the chicken masala like it's so there's like this dismay, and this is part of the Jared and Leo show. Okay, they come in, they're confident, but when the heat gets going and the heat gets turned up, they are just they don't know what to do, and this is a problem. They're on vacation right now. Okay, this is the week before the week. Now, what are they doing on vacation? Enjoying themselves? There's a lapse in this prep? Are they looking even on their phones right now? Do they have Wi-Fi? I mean, I don't think at this stage of the season you should be missing any kind of information that's getting out there.
You need to be focused coming into the draft. No distractions. Maybe they're too confident again, or maybe they're using it as a way to regroup. They go away. They'll relax because they do need to relax a little bit before the draft.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll work out.
It might help. It might help, but I think that the problem here is that when your partner is your dad, or when your partner is your brother, like when your partner is a family member, it's almost like you're afraid to insult each other, or when the final decision has to be made, sometimes it's difficult, and it must be more difficult for the father, because the father's always going to give to the son.
Well, that was my next question: is what do you think makes that final decision when it's an ultimate decision that needs to be made?
I don't know. I think that this is an issue they have to overcome, and I think that this is a Leo decision. I think that Leo needs to either tell him, you make the decision. I'm going to make the decision. But don't just make the decision because you want to make your son or your father feel good.
I mean, I spoke to Leo a couple times on the phone over the last couple of years. Gentleman, he engages.
He's awesome.
He reaches
He
out.
shows up to the pier. He comes in during traffic.
Jared, love Jared.
Jared's great. Jared's a trash talker, by the way.
Sweetheart, trash talker. The one thing I will say is, when you start the trash talk, you can't disappear 2 months into the season because your team is bad, and then all of a sudden you don't even answer responses. You don't respond
because you're having a bad year. That's no good. Now, he's at the pool right now at the beach, and how many girls do you think are with him right now? You think he's got a Mai Tai or a Grey Goose and vodka and a couple of girls with him?
Maybe he's making small talk with the bartender.
Small talk with the bartender. Very well. 150 to 1. I don't see anything from this group. I haven't seen anything yet, and there's no reason to give them better odds, right? 151. They really
That's
don't.
very fair.
It's fair. They really don't have a shot.
Which is a long way. They came a long way because they were favorites a couple of years
And they
ago.
didn't give us a quote. I did. You know what? I think maybe that was a mistake. But anyway, let's talk about John Torchio. Okay.
The torch monster.
Torchio sits with me now. I gave him the invitation again. We talk about not helping each other, and let me tell you, I help this guy so much.
The ex-master of strategy, by the way.
Yes. So, Torch gave me a quote. I mean, a lot of you might not know the quote. It's really kind of weird. Torch tries to play these weird mental games. There was a few years ago when he had, how sometimes first rounds, you want the 4th pick, but you got the 5th pick because the 5th pick is a trouble pick. Whatever it was, he had a pick, and he was not in the spot he wanted, and all the guys he wanted went, and he wasn't sure what to do, and he challenged the clock, and he yelled out, Johan Santana. We went, Johan Santana. Oh, I guess Johan Santana. You know what I mean?
I don't remember.
And he's
that
a Met fan, and he didn't want to make that pick, and Johan was on his game and all that stuff, and it really upset him. You know what I mean? So,
that's beautiful.
that was his quote that he gave me. So it reminds me of the fact that if Torch isn't comfortable and in a spot he wants to be, you could expect things like that. But what I really see from it is he's kind of telling us, you're not going to expect this from me, that I am going to be prepared. And I did talk to Torch a month ago, and he was already preparing, and that's a surprise. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm great. I mean, I wanted to prepare. You want Torch to be front and center and a contender. One thing I will say is, I don't know if sitting by you was helping, because now he's too concerned with what you're doing. Does he ask you a ton of questions?
No. Actually, I tried. I'm thinking about offering the chance to sit near me, changing it every year. The only problem is I don't want Daryl or Tony to sit near me because I would have to help him so much. But getting back to the Johan Santana quote, okay, and we could say his name because he's unretired. What it also tells me is that Torch is very unforgiving to players that disappoint him.
Got it.
So if he picked a guy in 2013 that disappointed him, he won't come back in 2000. There was one guy that he did repeatedly pick, and he got away from him. He won't pick him again. I won't say the guy, but this is what really Torch does. Torch has got to get away from this, staying away from disappointing players.
Do you think that he's a drafter that can handle anywhere that he gets in the draft?
It's funny you say that. I think that coming into this year he can, but he prepped early. I'm wondering if he's modifying his prep. Has he decided what he was going to do 2 months ago? Because I don't know if you could just stay put and not change a couple of things.
Well, one thing I'll say about this upcoming draft, it's a very deep first round.
Yes.
So
I agree.
He may not feel that pressure this year.
Yeah.
But if he gets a different, a specific position, it's always the second round is now the new first round as far as the later picks. So
I think so. I think this is easily. I don't think anybody can make a mistake in the first round.
Got it.
Okay, that's my personal opinion, but maybe you guys see other wood. Torch is very impatient. Can he control this? Remember that bad trade he made in the beginning of last year?
He is
Early,
impatient.
Yeah. He's done this many a time.
I think that was the trade with me that we
don't
off with
no
Walter
names.
and I. No names.
Yeah, no names.
But I can mention Walter, my partner, my tremendous partner. Walter, my partner. So yeah, he pushes the limit. He doesn't have the patience. Chris Donnie once said with his partner, years ago. He said it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
But Torch tries to run out of the gate, and then if he doesn't, if he's not close, he starts to pull the trigger and panic.
And I want to see that team back. I think that what my advice to Torch would be is get back to the basics, get more of that systematic view that works for him. Torch is very systematic, and at the end of the day, I give him 200 to 1. He don't really have a shot, Torch. Okay. But if there's anyone I would love to see in contention to be him, Torch loves to be. Torch is a really good person to have in contention. You could trust him. He's integrity. He goes for it. He calculates. And it just gives him something to do over the summer. And that's what I love about it. If I could ever see, I wish if Torch could be the 2017 Darryl, but the 2018, I would be very happy for him. So 200 to 1. That was Torch's quote. Let's talk about James Yost. This is Ultimate Price. Now, James Yost was new to us last year. We got him via the Beerman Bashers. And what I like about that is that a team like the Beerman Bashers are not going to suggest to anyone that is subpar level to come to our league because they respect our league. And I respect James Yost. He came with a big resume. But what happened last year was he was getting married.
Okay.
And we've seen in the past, when people get married, they're just lost. And I understand because we have a bunch of pussies in our league that the women control them and the women decide, and the men can't be stern. And I understand fantasy baseball, quote unquote, isn't that important, but it really is important. Okay, so what James Yost to me is he's still a mystery. But he did give us a quote, and I appreciate that. Thank you, James, for giving us a quote.
And what was the quote?
James Yost's quote was, and he's the Ultimate Price, was, "Year 1 was a complete disgrace from Team Yost. Year 2, you will see the rise of Team Yost."
The rise of Team Yost.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I will say, Yost doesn't rise, yeast rises.
Yeast rise, yes, yeast rises, yes. And if he might have a yeast infection, that means he's not a man, but that's the way. But yeast is bred, and we all know that.
And maybe this is the year that he'll get his balls back from his newlywed.
His balls were cut off. He had a yeast infection. But what I take from this quote is he's admitting to all of us that it was a disgrace. And when you look in the mirror and admit it, that tells me something.
Well, it's half the battle, right?
Half the
That's
battle.
what G.I. Joe say growing up, all them cartoons and everything. But I think he has it. He has it in him. If he prepares hard enough and has a good draft, he sits there. He's quiet at the draft. He doesn't make a lot of noise.
Well, he sits with the Beerman bag. We can't say much about him yet because he's only been in one draft. Now, when you sit with another team, now we have Paulie's room, which is a great room, and thanks, Paulie. Everybody can sit at their own table. Now they come together. They're the Queen's crew, and they're not very sociable. You know what I mean? And they maybe want to stay there. Maybe they help each other out. And that's cool. I've sat with owners at different tables, but he'll sit with them again, and that's fine. I'm sure he's still competitive and makes his own mind up. The mysterious factor is an issue, but I see the hunger in him. Okay, I see the enthusiasm. He always responds to the text. And I cut back on the annoying text. And James Yost is my surprise contender.
Surprise contender. So he's a contender in your book this year.
15 to 1.
Okay, that's big. That's great odds. That's incredible.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
That's incredible.
Yeah, go out on a limb. 15 to 1. I like the quote. I like the fact that he doesn't have the wedding around to distract him. That's Sal's phone vibrating. And I'm excited to see him, and I hope he does well because I really, really like when new owners come in and they survive me and they stick around.
Which is very difficult. And it's not easy. Everybody's not built for it.
Congratulations, James. I think you're a surprise contender. Good luck, okay? And thanks for the quote. All right, Sal, the next team we're going to talk about is the Bean team, okay? And the Bean team did make a quote.
Okay.
And the quote is that I discovered a flaw in my prep, okay, that I think has led to these poor performances over the last couple of years. And since the discovery, my plan of attack combined with my baseball knowledge, okay, I feel my mind and my body are symmetrical, and I sense the beginning of another Bean dynasty, similar to the mid-90s when I won 4 between the years 1994 and 1998.
Well, let me stop you right there, because a couple of years ago, you also mentioned something similar, and I remember it, and it wound up being one of the worst years that you've had in a while. Mm-hmm. So, I hope for the league's sake that you found something, because let's face it, when you're competing, the boards are at its best, and the league.
The boards are always at its best, regardless of what I'm doing.
The league's firing on all cylinders. When you're not competing that much, I mean, it's still always fun, but the boards kind of tend to die down a little bit. But although it's always fun. But
you have anything you want to ask?
I have a couple things that I have to ask.
Oh, good. Some questions that I never had given to me before.
You know, you talk about integrity a lot.
Mm-hmm. Very important.
And it's very important. And it's very important. You made a bet with Paulie a couple years ago, and I don't have you just straightened that bet out. Did you wash the dishes yet? Or because we were all supposed to be there and video recorded, so I want you to address that for everybody, and especially Paulie.
I still owe the bet. I haven't paid it. I'll have to figure something out.
Okay, no, we got to figure. So we figured it out. You have to wash dishes in his place.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't know why. It's maybe a schedule conflict. I had a bad year this year. I'm not really sure. But I owe it, and I'll discuss it with Paulie. And then whatever, we'll figure it out. But you're right. But that has nothing to do with integrity.
It doesn't. There was another debacle of a trade. You always point out everybody's debacles of trades last year.
Well,
now, without mentioning names, and I know that trades don't always work out how they seem, and you never can tell until the year's over. But that was a clear trade that everybody got on you for, and I think in hindsight, it was still rightfully so. How do you?
Well, if everybody loved the guy so much that I gave up, how come I didn't get the counter? So whenever somebody gets as hot as the guy I gave up, they all want to comment, but then before they weren't, because they know that at the time I did it, that person wasn't having that good of a year. So, everybody could have counted that.
I mean, this is a stud that we're talking about.
No, he wasn't a stud. He was a stud when I made a great pick in the 4th round last year.
We know that.
Then he was a stud.
Baseball, right? Baseball is the league of averages. Generally, you're always in a finish.
I wouldn't give
where you
people
need to
advice.
be. Okay. That being said, you said he was a waiver wire pick. That was a tough statement.
At the time.
At the time.
The guy was batting, in a part of the order that a player like that shouldn't be batting.
It kind of leads me to believe, because if you still had him at the time,
who knows? I made some really bad. I made some bad trades last year. I made some bad trades last year.
You pushed the button a little bit.
But I tried.
I tried. You tried, and
there's a phobia. People don't like to count on my deals because they feel like they're giving me too much. They don't want to give me too much. It's not easy, So, but anyway, what are you gonna do?
So where do you see yourself coming into this year? Obviously, you had high things to say about you caught something in your prep, and you're one with the asymmetrical universe type higher learning shit. But where do you see yourself finishing? Are you a contender, not contender? And give me your odds.
I see myself as focused, as prepared, and as I have as well as a strategy that I've ever had, and I am the 3-1 favorite.
So you're the favorite.
I am the 3-1 pre-draft favorite.
It's pretty high.
What do you feel about that?
It's almost.
And I'm going to guarantee it. I will win this league.
I could have almost said that you were going to call yourself the favorite, although you haven't in a couple years past. But you're always top 3. I think that's a very bold statement. Mm-hmm. You said the dick's back,
the meanie beanie's back. The meanie's beanie back.
So let's see how this works out.
Yep, the meanie beanie's back. Anyway, let's go to the next team. Let's go to the other guys. Tommy D'Amico, Joey D'Amico's son's always on the phone. And the other guys did give me a quote. They gave us a quote, and we thank everybody.
By the way.
Anybody who gave us a quote, we thank. And the other guy said, "I am sick of being in the middle of the road fantasy team. I am sick of being a middle of the road fantasy team. Time to step it up." I have a problem with this quote.
Okay.
The problem
what is the problem with the quote?
He's not even middle of the road. He's not even middle of the road. He's more like bottom of the road.
That's fair. I don't think he's ever finished top half. So how could you be middle of the road and you're always finishing bottom half of the league? So that's very fair. One thing I will say is they never attempted to strengthen their team last year. They had a ton of pitching all year last year. They were top of the line. There were other teams, Walter and I were one of them. They never contacted us about a trade. With all the other offensive people going throughout the whole year, they never really made that splash or tried to counter or come in. And they were in a great spot where they had a ton of pitching. They could have got some real strength back, and they never actually went for it. And by the time they did go and make a trade, it was a little bit late, and it was more of offense for offense, and no really giving up their strength to try to strengthen a weaker part of their team.
Yeah, I mean, I wish he put in the same effort like in fantasy football that than in fantasy baseball. But fantasy football is for simpletons, He's too timid. He's not going. Anybody who calls himself middle of the road and a bottom of the road, right from the get-go, they need to come back and think about what's going on. So I think that Tommy needs to engage. Like I always say, I think the only number he has is Don Torchio's number. They went to high school together. He went to high school and grammar school with my brother. They don't talk that much. Tommy needs to engage. If you want to be middle of the road, you need to inject more energy, engage. But at this stage of the game, they don't excite me at all. He won't slow up the draft. The draft flows. He's not one of those guys. He sits by himself. He sits there, Joey. Get away from Joey. He's a distraction. 300 to 1 odds. Tommy D'Amico and Joey D'Amico are the other guys. Okay?
I hate to do this.
Let's not start yet. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. All right, so the next team we're going to talk about is Paulie Scavello and MVP. And, once again, we got to thank Paulie. We're having a draft in his room on the island. Great room. It doesn't come without a cost. I had to bump it up a little bit, negotiate. Paulie's a shrewd negotiator. Well, thank you.
But one thing I will say is that it's a great venue.
It's a great venue. And I know it's demanding for someone to accommodate a bunch of us. You know what I mean? When they have a real business they're running. So, anyway, Paulie gave a quote. Didn't he give you a quote?
Paulie did give me a quote.
You know what I mean? Because we'll start with the quotes. I mean,
so what Paulie said was, he said this is his year.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's the equivalent of a rebuilding team. After the first, second, the third year is when they start to kick in.
Like the natural progression of a team.
Like the natural progression of a team. And he thinks this is the year that he definitely is going to win the championship. And he's quoted as saying he's going to win it this year.
Interesting.
I mean, can we take that comment serious?
I don't know. I mean, he has kind of gradually improved his play and moved up the standings. But moving up the standings isn't always a good tell. The thing with Paulie, like some other people in the league that we'll talk about, is that we probably know about 10 or 15 guys he's going to go for.
The same names every year.
Yeah.
We love the home team.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a couple of them on his team off the bat. So very predictable. He's more predictable in his draft than most.
Yeah, this is a good thing because he's probably going to pick some guys a little earlier than usual. He's probably going to have 5 to 10 guys that he's had over the last couple of years. There's actually a guy that got hurt recently that he probably wanted because he always goes for him, but we won't talk about that guy. Anyway,
no names.
Paulie could be a very shrewd trader. Like sometimes you see him make these deals, but then when he tries to offer you something or counter offer you, it's always like expensive.
He values his players more than he values your players. So then why are you trying to come and get the specific player? You have to. There's 2 teams involved. It has to be somewhere close to be fair. Now I have traded with Paulie in the past, but he gets into the modes. Unless you have a home team guy that he likes, then you could probably get a little bit more for him.
Yes.
In that respect. So you just have to. He always overvalues. He thinks everybody on his team is the best in the game.
Paulie is not the greatest prepper when it comes to. Oh God!
Why the fuck? The door's locked. How the fuck do you come in?
Well, the thing about Paulie, Sal, is that he doesn't necessarily prep a lot. And in the past, he has picked risky, made the risky pick, the hurt guy, and he has gotten away from that a little bit. I don't think he's fully away from it. I still think that he does take those risks, but I think that if he gets away from that a little bit and increases his prep, I think Paulie could surprise. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna make Paulie the 6-1 second choice.
That's huge. Now this. You're saying he needs to prep, so you're the anti-Joe
Yes.
Bean. Joe Bean says the more prep, the worse.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
saying he does less prep, and he's trying to get more. But I think it's tough to put him as a second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're just trying to kiss a little bit of ass now, so you don't have to wash dishes in his place.
Ooh.
Maybe that's where the angle that you're trying to get.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
All right.
Do you think maybe making him the second, given these good odds, is going to get to him? I mean, because he has been getting a little. He keeps saying it's my year. Every year, he's getting more confident and cocky.
I mean, I like the confidence. You're supposed to have that. I mean, if you don't have a little bit of confidence, don't play the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's done anything to prove why he should be the second favorite to win the thing.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give him those. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. I see him progression in the right way, and if he could get away from the same guys he always picks and doesn't do the risk game, then I think he might be in for a positive season. And he said he might have a surprise with the wardrobe, so good luck, Paulie.
You mean no more bland suits?
No more bland suits,
Anyway, you don't know if he's coming from a wedding or a funeral.
Let's talk about Big Macs, Christian McGurk, and Ron Perry. And they were another team, Sal, that they didn't give a quote.
I mean, I can't blame him.
I think Ron would have gave a quote, but I think he was on orders from Christian not to give a quote.
Orders from Christian. That's hard to believe. I can understand that, but I think it's obvious that Ron runs things. So why would Ron all of a sudden start listening to Christian?
Well, because I think Christian is like the commander in chief, the general to the sergeant, and I think that he could be very demanding.
So
Okay.
if you had to describe Christian as a fantasy baseball and a player, what would you think?
Extremely sensitive.
That's
Right.
and we do. It happened again last year. He gets emotional.
Yeah, he wants me to apologize
Very
for something.
emotional.
I don't know why, but
Apologize for what,
I
baseball?
don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's like he says. Ron told me I hurt his feelings.
Oh, there's no crying in baseball, and there's no apologizing.
I don't know what I hurt his feelings about. I mean, but he don't answer the phone. He hasn't really answered the phone. He's playing this game, so we'll see what happens if it even
I
comes to the
spoke to
draft.
him. I love him. He's a good dude.
He's a lot of fun. I
A lot
like
of fun.
Christian, too. He could bend your ear though during the
Big,
season.
big baseball fan. We know
Yep.
that. That's clear.
He probably did well with the Dodgers going to the World Series.
Yeah, I'm sure, without a doubt.
Now he also is very reactive.
He overreactive.
Overreactive.
There are some people that are proactive about things. He's very reactive. The minute a trade comes out, he wants to see who's getting screwed because somebody has to get screwed in the trade, right? And he overanalyzes it,
Yes.
and he blows up.
Yeah.
It's not even 10 minutes, and he called 6 owners.
Yeah, he is the guy. Whenever he sees a trade, he just is like full blown attack mode.
How about take a deep breath?
Yeah.
The counter rule is available.
Yeah.
Counter.
He has to scrutinize everything, and why is this guy doing this, and why is this guy doing that? It's almost like he's got a little bit of a
And there's a
skeptic
reason.
mindset.
Right.
And
it happened to be an ironic year on a year that and in the past he would complain about Darryl giving the league to people.
yeah.
Darryl wins the championship.
He
So,
overreacted with that trade last year, and he would have been
clearly.
better off not doing it. But it wasn't a bad trade. He just, whatever. He just, let the season play out. I mean, no one does things without trying to win. You know what I mean? We don't
Without
have
a
that. But and Ron is so calm. He's more like a problem solver and intelligent. He's like a total opposite. And maybe that's why they like the yin and the yang. But
I think that's good. You need that in a partnership and in a team. So hopefully it could work for him.
do you think that Christian's going to be upset about the fact that the McGurk rule is one and done?
I don't think so because after evaluating it sincerely last year, it just was a bad rule. We
Yeah.
should have never went.
No, it's good
went
that we
to
tried
rule.
it. I
But you know what?
appreciate it.
At least we showed, and you showed.
Yeah.
That the league we put the league and you put the league above anybody's feelings and look, let's try it. If it works, and if it doesn't, we can call it back.
Yeah.
It took years for people to actually start accepting the counter rule, and it's becoming more acceptable. And
Oh, yeah. It's totally
it's little things like that's what makes you a great commissioner.
Yeah. In the first year of his rule, we had the worst example of what could happen, and thank God it did. But Christian and Ron, I don't know if it's Ron, but Christian and Ron is another team where there's probably 10 or 15 guys that we know they're going to have or go for. Guys they had last year, the year before.
They
real loyal.
target, and they
target.
Repeat, and
yep. You could almost know when you're crossing off your names and drafting in the 8th round, and you see a name, you say, I know who's going to go for him.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know what I mean? And that's very good. And they kind of sit near me a lot of times. I like to sit near the commissioner's table. I don't know why. Maybe because he likes to, when he asks me a question about who got picked, he wants to be right there. But I really can't take them that seriously. They're only 100-1. They really haven't done well in the league. And
you know, I thought you would have gave them worse than that, but that's fair.
Yeah,
because, you know,
it's not
they came in swinging, you know, the first year. And I really haven't seen much. But
they're great.
I think they're great.
I'm excited to see both of them.
They know baseball clearly. They want to compete. And so
but
let's see what happens.
He isn't getting an apology. He's just a little too sensitive. But
I don't think anything. I mean, unless something personal happens
really
between you guys
nothing.
behind the scenes, I don't know because anything
that kind of relationship.
Anything that I've seen on the boards doesn't need an apology.
Yeah, but whatever. We'll see. He'll probably hug me draft day if he shows up.
Right.
All right, so the next team let's talk about here is the Berman Bashers. Okay, they came in 5th last year, and Chris and Robbie, they're brothers. They're the ones that sit with James Yost. You know, great baseball minds. But the one thing I don't like about them is that they're not that sociable. They come to the draft. I don't even know if they say hello to people.
Mean mugging. They're
right?
mean mugging.
They just go to the table and say,
as
soon as the draft's over, they pack their papers and they go.
I say hi. They say hi to me. You know, so you know, they're very cordial. As far as that's concerned, you know, they come for business. They say it's business. Maybe that's their way. Why become friends with the enemy? Maybe that's what they're trying to accomplish.
I don't know. I think they're insecure.
One thing I do remember of last draft is this is the pick of the draft. You guys are all fools.
Pick of the draft. They said that 2 years in a row, I think, or maybe 2 times last year.
And none of the picks
and
were
neither
good.
one of them did well. And it's funny because he's probably still looking at both of those guys. And
guaranteed one of them will be on his
team. Guaranteed one of them will probably be on his team. Now, I have a feeling that they've been solid every year they've been in the league.
They have, and they're involved.
They're not afraid to make deals. They recognize their weaknesses right away. They know how to target players that might be having down years that they think might come back and have a good 3 months or a rebound year. So they really have that good feel for the game. They got a good working relationship. I think Robbie is the one that kind of holds the reins a little bit because he thinks maybe Chris would blow it up too easily, a little impatient. But
right.
They've been solid. They didn't want to give a quote though, out of fear that we might make fun of them on the video. I mean, why would we make fun of them? I mean, does that say anything about their mindset coming in? They're worried about making fun of them?
Why worry about what other people say and who cares? But, you know, if you don't have a quote, you don't want to give a quote. I think that's a cowardice thing to do, but it is what it is.
Well, I think they're solid. I'm going to give them 10-1 odds.
You know what?
They're a contender.
As much as I want to argue with that, I cannot complain. 10-1, they deserve it.
I like how they run their team.
I actually think they should be above Paulie.
Yeah, well,
that's your decision.
Yes.
But I think I can't argue with a 10-1. That's very generous by you.
They're one of the contenders this year. I think that they're going. All signs pointing to them going in the right direction. Okay. Good luck, Robbie and Chris. All right, the next team we're going to talk about, Sal, as we move this video along, is your team. The Bistro Smokers, Sal Cuculo and Walter Palmer. And what's good about talking about Sal's team is I get to, just talk to him right here, and I get to put him on the hot seat if I want to, right in front of the video, and you guys can look at his face, his body movements, if he sweats, if he gets nervous, you know what I mean? But, what is the mindset? Were you and Walter's mindset coming into the league this year?
It's business as usual. We still get ready the same way we've always had. We changed a little bit up with the color chart this year. Mm-hmm. Something slight, nothing crazy. We always adjusted a little bit, mm-hmm. But we had a 3rd place finish last year. It was a failure as far as we're concerned. Money place, fine. 1st or nothing. So anybody that finishes in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, doesn't matter. Doesn't mean a thing if you don't have that ring. So we would our 3rd place finish felt almost as bad as the last place finish. So that's 2 years in a row we didn't win it. We're very upset. We're gunning for it.
And you know, are you guys? Last year you guys were busy. You know, Walter was busy with his business on the lounge, and you opened up your new business, your second one. I mean, are you guys again that busy? Where? Because I mean, last year or the year before, I definitely think it kind of interrupted the season a little bit.
It affected us 2 seasons ago. It bothered us. We did have a lot going on between Walter's place, his new store, and then my second spot, and just a ton of things going on. But no excuses in baseball, no apologies, no crying. But I think last year we came into his own, and we're comfortable in our life and our family life as far as time.
Okay.
And I think this year we just expand on it.
You did screw up in football a little bit.
You know,
and I think some people in the league are worried about it. They think that your head is not in it.
well, the thing is, fuck football, and I've always said that it doesn't matter, it doesn't count. You know, you put a team out there, and who cares? Like, you get there. Ultimately, I wouldn't have won the whole thing anyway. So after dissecting it down, it wouldn't have made a difference. That being said, baseball is a different monster. We just do football to get through to the next year of baseball.
All right, hold on one second.
Your mom called. She wants to know if you need Daniel.
Sorry about the interruption, so let's continue with Sal again. Now, Sal, I got quotes from a lot of people. I never asked you for a quote. Do you have a quote you could give us?
Well, my quote would be just that. You know, we're excited about the new year. We are working very hard to accomplish it, and we definitely would like another ring. And we'll do the best effort in our power to get that other ring.
And if you could give other league owners any advice coming into this draft, or for draft day, what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
I don't know if this is the place for advice. I mean, is it free advice?
I wouldn't give him anything. I wouldn't give him any. You know what? Try the chicken scarpadiello. That would be my advice. Anyway, Sal and Walter are 8-1 contenders. I believe that's my third choice of a contender. They got the resume to prove it. So good luck, Sal.
Oh, thank you.
All right, to you and Walter.
That's very generous odds.
Yes, a tough team to deal with. The next team we're going to talk about, and a surprise second place finish. Surprise anytime the guy comes anywhere outside of last. Tony's Tigers.
Big
Okay,
Tony.
Anthony Palumbo. What was it, a fluke year? You know, can you put anything?
Clearly.
Can you
Are
put
you
anything
kidding me?
behind this year?
Look, we all love Tony. Great place. He always the best hospitality in the world. But we all know that was a fluke year. I mean, he knows it. He feels it. He senses it.
He doesn't think so.
I mean, he had more help than anybody at the draft. He was constantly looking for help. He got a couple picks from a couple big players in the game that happen to have career years, and I just think it was a total debacle on his end. You know, there was another name that he shouted out that the person was injured for the whole year.
But we understand.
I know, but we understand.
But there's
that
also,
was just another piece.
He's also one of the guys that constantly asks players, I need a name. And you know, it's not going to happen no more. And I'm sorry, Tony, but you got to come more prepared. And if the clock you get penalized because of the clock, you do it. You got to call out your own names. You got to cross your own names off. And guys threw him a player last year that had a really good year, an important player for his team.
It was a big player. But, you know, aside from that, let's say, you know, the other people that he did draft wound up having great years. I mean, let's face it. So I don't want to discredit him at all, you know, entirely. So I'll give him a good amount of credit. But then the in-game management, he thought he was going to cruise to a victory.
Yeah.
The in-season management wasn't there.
He collapsed.
It was a full collapse. And Darryl came on strong and took the whole thing, but it was a partial collapse because you never really went for it. You know,
Yeah,
so
he never went for it, and that's not like Tony. It's weird. Tony plays the game differently when he's got the lead, when he's not. But he just was gun shy. He had a big injury, a couple of big injuries that I think derailed his freedom and limited him a little bit.
And I think being ahead by so much in the first half kind of hurt him because he usually does like to shake it up and try to better his team. But I sincerely think that he thought he was going to cruise because he did have a huge lead.
You can't sustain. I mean, very
And
rarely.
we know that this happens in the past.
Yeah, we've seen 24 home run do it, those jerks, but we won't give them credit. But he's eager. He can't wait.
Does he have a quote?
He didn't give me a quote. he said he's just eager and he can't wait. That was kind of his quote. My issue with him is, you think this bothers him that Darryl was the one to beat him?
Oh, we all know those.
You know what I mean?
They're like
It's like a love-hate.
Yeah.
They've been from day one.
No, and they're a big rivalry. I mean, that's clear.
Yeah, this hurts
I
him.
think it could have, if it would have been anybody else to win, it would have been, he would have sucked it up. But it was Darryl, and I think it definitely
Bit of an
hurts him. Yeah.
And I knew Darryl was going to go by him. And that's why my odds were up. Even before he was past him, he was 20 points behind. I was like, I made Darryl the favorite. So I'm not sure Tony could repeat this. He's very much an inconsistent player. He's usually on the bottom. I think he's going to struggle this year with the draft. If I'm adamant about people not helping each other, and he'll probably come up to me and ask me a couple of questions, which I don't mind. I'd rather people come up to me, but remember, I run the draft. But no more yelling out names, giving players names. And I think this is going to hurt him. Last year was a fluke, in my opinion. He collapsed. He didn't know how to handle it. And I'm just going back to giving him bad odds, 250 to 1. He has no shot. I don't take him seriously at all.
It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue with.
But
that.
watch, when he does bad, how many moves he'll make. You'll look at the difference between a bad year from him and a good year. But he's active. He needs to figure out this Saturday night, Sunday. He works late. He forgets the moves. He puts them in late. This is one of these. The air drops. He's poor. He's a poor waiver wire guy. He's got to improve there. So anyway, good luck, Tony. The next team we're going to talk about is Darryl, our champion. And Darryl, congratulations. I remember when Darryl won it last year, the Cream Team, Darryl Williamson, and I spoke to him. I could, on the other end of the phone, I could almost hear him choke up a little bit.
You know what? Good for him. He deserved it. He played his ass off. He turned in for last year to Theo Epstein. He was making all the right moves. He kind of like.
He did make all the right moves, and I gave him a good player. I could have.
He got 3 first-round players.
Every guy he acquired did unbelievable, but he also had help from some guys that came with these seasons out of nowhere.
That's true.
That have been dropped and added for the last 10 years, and they were big. They were flexible position-wise, and they came up with these ridiculous numbers. Guys that never did it before, and they helped just as much. So that's the luck factor. I think Darryl got very lucky last year, but he did get a title. Now he last won it in 2001, so that was 16 years apart.
That's a long time.
Long time.
That means he wins one every 15 years. That's good for him, and he's the most recent winner, so he has the belt, or he's gonna have the belt on draft day. So I'm actually very excited for him. If there's a guy that I like, and you hear the energy all year, even when he's having a bad year, he's there and he's making moves and he's not afraid and he pulls the trigger. Even when he's going when he was in second place, third place, second place, he was trying to win. He wasn't sitting there. If you remember last year, people sit in second place and they think they're just going to automatically get better. He was calling. He was making moves.
He made some crazy moves and some interesting and innovative roster decisions. That he played the game extremely well last year, and people thought he was goofy. And what I love about Darryl winning the league is it really does. No one respects it, and it does really wake us all up because we have some arrogant people in this league, including myself. Like I really think I'm the best. I think that anytime I walk in that draft room, I could win it, even though I don't consistently do well. I have enough of that titles, and I was very good at this game a long time ago. And when a guy like Darryl or Tony compete.
Well, Walt,
if
you would have asked Walter and I last year if we had to beat 2 players, Tony and Darryl, if we finished ahead of them, we'd win the championship.
Yep.
We thought we'd have it locked up.
Yeah.
So I give them a lot of credit. I give Darryl a lot of credit. He won it and he deserves it.
I think you're going to see the same usual Darryl. He'll start performing bad, make trades. But what do you think it's going to be like when he gets that belt and give him that belt, the whole belt?
He's going
to cry?
You know what? You know him a lot longer than I do, so you know his emotional level. If he did cry, I wouldn't hold it against him, even though there's no crying in baseball.
Please don't lose the belt. Please, Darryl, you must bring it back every year. Please.
Did Darryl give you a quote?
Darryl gave me a quote. It was a very simple, small quote. He said, "The great one, the champ." That was his quote.
And that he is right now. So
he won his 4th title in my history of playing with him, and I'm very proud of him. And we go back a long way. And he won one in 1990, and he won one in 2017. That's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years.
Okay, his first and his last. Anyway, good luck, Daryl. I give you 300 to 1. You don't have a shot. And the last team.
And I'm allergic to shellfish, and he picked shrimp scampi on
well, it's the championship. You know, he's allowed to
I'm
take
joking.
it.
I'm not allergic. It's just.
And Paulie, I had to give up my arm and leg to buy that for the league.
Oh man, you better off going fishing for them.
Right? But I could have bought my own frozen ones,
man.
cleaned them, and made them for a lot. I mean, that catering menu, whoo, has, woo, man, beats over the head and smile. Anyway, the last team we're going to talk about is the return of Chris Donnie. Chris Donnie is his name of his team is the Bloody Nine, and a lot of you don't know Chris Donnie, and a lot of us do know Chris Donnie. Great guy, a lot of personality. When Torch took the league back from Jose's and called it Spades, the first year was 2006, and I believe Chris Donnie won it that year.
Yes.
Oh, 2007, one of them.
2007. I remember seeing it on the
Joe
on the
Beam won in
list.
2006, and I think McFlint and Rich Ramirez won it in 2007. Now, Chris Donnie is doing this by himself as an owner, but rumor has it, Rich Ramirez is going to help him. And be at the draft because he's going to need, and that would be great to see Rich.
It would be nice to see Rich again. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yes.
I'm excited to have Chris back.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, he's excited for this year.
He is.
I am getting nonstop texts from him. He's communicating. Just yesterday, I get a random text from him. The only thing it said is, "I love fantasy baseball."
Yeah.
And he's back.
He's back. And he's been on a message board already, and he's already challenging me a few times, and he brought up a rule that he thought we should have changed, and I knocked it down. And one thing though, is he as sensitive as McGurk? I don't think anybody
Nobody's
is
as sensitive as McGurk.
But he's pretty sensitive.
But you know, you can tell by the reaction on the boards when you start to dig at him, he does get sensitive, and I was like, wow. And then I was like, oh shit, a little sensitive. But you know what? He's entitled to whatever, however he wants to deal with it, and he probably, you could be a jerk at sometimes, but so this is going to be a fun year to see the real mean Beanie come out, and we have Donnie back in the league, who we know doesn't take your shit anyway.
Nope.
And Christian, who kind of goes the other way with it.
I love Chris Donnie because he plays his game with high integrity. If he's doing poor, he doesn't just throw his players other teams. He left because he got married, he bought a house, he had a kid. Okay, and now he still has his kid, but the kid's getting a little older and things are getting more settled, and he has the time and he wants to get back in the game. I think he's going to have a hard time. My spies were out not too long ago, and I know of another league that he was in, and I get mixed stories from different people. The Chris version is different than the actual version from other witnesses.
So what are they saying?
Other witnesses have told me that he had a hard time crossing names off of following guys that were picked, kept holding the draft up.
Now, he mentioned this in the.
He did, but
you said you believed your sources.
Yeah, I believe my sources.
He
He was off on position eligibility. So, I mean, I hope Richie is there to help him because he's going to need the help. The clock is bigger. Remember, we had the small clock. That won't be an issue. Remember the clock issues they used to have
Yep.
a lot of times. But I think that I told him, my advice to him getting back in the game was keep it simple. Have a solid list, know the injured guys, and don't go for the injured guys, like they used to do in the past. And start off with a solid roster that doesn't have injury issues, so you don't get frustrated out of the gate. But he, like I said, he did a draft already. He probably did another one, so he might be. Our draft is a couple days after the season, so he might have 2 drafts under his belt.
A lot of people don't know this, but Chris Donnie got me into the Spades League.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for that because it's a great fantasy league. It's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I think it's the best out there right now. But,
We love it.
So Chris got me into the league, and I was nervous to go from the 12-team fantasy baseball leagues to playing with the big boys, but it wound up working
And your
out.
first year, I think it was 15.
And he gave me when I was coming into this league, he gave me a couple pieces of very, very solid advice that I still use to this day.
Yeah.
So it's great to have him back.
Yeah, I welcome back, Chris. Thank you for joining. We hope I was so hurt when you guys left because McFlint was like a staple. You know what I mean? And life changes, but I never thought that McFlint would never be in the league. I always thought they were one of the teams that would constantly come back. But I love that. And then they're not McFlint, but we will remember them as McFlint, even though it's the Bloody Nine, and both of them will be there. We're happy to see Rich Ramirez. I hope he shows up. And the only thing is, Chris Donnie, is I'm going to give you 600 to 1 odds. You're my last place prediction.
That's very bad odds. That's tough. I don't know what I feel about that. What I will say is, when I found out Chris, that you were actually going to join another league, I was a little disappointed.
But he was in
because
that league too before.
No, it's not about that. But his first year back, and now he's in multiple leagues.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little more difficult because baseball is a lot of work as it is.
But that-
and he always knew that. But now it's I don't know if that can work for him. I think initially it'll work against him. So I hope he can handle it. He has a lot on his plate. A beautiful wife, beautiful son.
Mm-hmm.
He got a lot on his plate as far as that
Yeah,
goes.
he's funny.
Big job. He's incredibly funny.
The other league
I consider him a
modifies.
friend.
The other league modified its rules and structure to mine, like the same roster, the same 5x5. So even though it's an auction, not a snake, it's the same structure. And it's
Okay.
funny because that commissioner would never do anything like this in the past, but he finally did it, and he copied my things to a T. I don't think he copied my league. I don't know, but it's exactly identical. So hopefully that helps him a little bit. I think it might. So anyway, good luck, Chris. Sal, this is the end of the video. We wanted to try to make it shorter. We did it more off the cuff.
Yep.
We want to wish everybody good luck. I'll try to get this video out as soon as possible. There was some editing errors and some distractions, but please ignore them. March 31st, 7:30 a.m. arrive, and we'll do this belt ceremony. We'll go over a couple of key rules. Look at the rules, guys, please. The changes we'll talk about. I don't want to go over the whole rules, and we'll pick that draft order, and it's the most exciting moment. Less than a week from the recording of this video.
Goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps already.
Right?
Goosebumps already. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I look forward to seeing you at the
Yeah,
draft.
me
Please,
too.
please don't
Good luck.
go.
Good luck.
Don't go out the night before.
No, you don't try to keep me out the night before.
All right.
I'm not close. But anyway, good luck. And good luck and I hope you like your odds, and we'll see you guys March 31st. Bye-bye.
Ciao.